Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Dr. Lauren. I am a chiropractor at Impact Chiropractic here in Loveland. And this is the second webinar podcast style presentation that I've done. And I was really feeling called today to talk about how we can look at health differently, right? I think a lot of our practice members, when they first come into care, they think of health as whether or not they're feeling good, whether or not they're experiencing pain, whether or not they're feeling sick. But we really have to talk about how that's really not the full story. And the feeling aspect is just a small piece of the puzzle. So today we are going to look at how health is more about function, how it's more about the signals that your body is sending to you and then responding to those signals. So I like to think of health as a relationship. So now that we've kind of set that baseline too, let's kind of dive in a little bit. So in chiropractic, we have a saying. So this quote here says, your body needs no help with healing. It just needs no interference to heal, right? When I look at healing, that's healing, that's a root word for healthy too. In order to be fully healthy, your body has to be able to heal at the fullest capacity. So when I think about your body and its ability to heal and your body's ability to be healthy, I think about three things. I think about the responsiveness of the body. So I think about the brain to body connection and how our body is so responsive, whether it's your brain communicating to your body that we need to move or your body communicating back up to your brain that something is happening. There is a constant communication from your brain to your body and then back up to. Your body is also extremely intelligent. So I know that when I exercise, I don't have to tell my heart to beat faster or my legs to move quicker if I want to run. That's just something that can happen with my body. I know that as soon as I eat my food, my body's going to go to work digesting everything. So it's extremely intelligent and has this innate wisdom in it that knows if there's food in my stomach, I need to start breaking it down. If I need to get more oxygen in my lungs, I'm going to breathe faster. And then another thing, when we look at the responsiveness and the intelligence and we bring those two things together, we see that our body is self-healing. So some relatable examples. I'm sure most of us have either broken a bone or have cut ourselves accidentally, whether that's while we're shaving or whether that's while we're preparing food for ourselves too, right? So when we break a bone, we know that our body is going to heal that break by creating new bone and new tissue around the area. We know that if we cut ourselves, that your body is going to close that wound with a clot and it's going to start repairing almost instantly. So these are just some very small but big life examples of the fact that our body can heal no matter the circumstance, as long as we don't get in the way and there's no interference towards that healing. So now that we've kind of outlined a little bit about the innate ability of the body to be responsive, to be intelligent, and to be self-healing, let's try to reframe some of the signals that we receive from our body too. So I've had folks who will talk to me about pain. They'll talk to me about stomach upset. They'll talk to me about menstrual irregularities. Let's dive into that a little bit. But first, I want to zoom out before we zoom in. So when I am looking at my car, if my car maintenance light turns on or my tire pressure light turns on, do I smash it with a hammer to get it to go away because I don't want to deal with it, I don't want to see it? Or do I respond to that and try to get things checked and see what's going on, right? I might want to smash it with a hammer and not deal with it, but I know that inevitably that's just going to prolong the issue and create more damage than what is initially happening, right? Same thing goes with our body. The symptoms and the signals that we receive are not the enemy, they're communication from the master control. So let's start first with some lighter examples, and then we'll kind of dive into the other one that I see a lot when I'm in practice. So when we are fighting with a cold or an infection, one thing that we see a lot is a fever, right? And a lot of times we go towards fever reducers or medications that can reduce the fever. Now, there is a time and there is a place, but I do want to let you know that unless it's at an unsafe temperature for your body, that fever is an intelligent response that we really shouldn't try to interfere with. that fever isn't a problem. It's our body turning up the heat to actually kill off that infection or kill off whatever is in us that's causing the immune system to react. So, like I said, the fever isn't a problem. It's the body turning up the heat. Another thing that I talked about briefly was digestive upset. So folks will experience diarrhea, okay? So this is your body's way of detoxing when you eat something that it doesn't agree with. Is it uncomfortable? 100%. Is a fever uncomfortable? 100%. I'm not saying that both of those things are not potential nuisances or uncomfortable for us to have to deal with, but they are intelligent responses from our body. So those are our two lighter ones that we can kind of reframe. Instead of thinking of those things as major issues, they're more so a response that we need to let stay there. In the example of the fever, like I said, unless it's at an unsafe temperature, we need to leave that alone, because if we actually reduce that fever and get it to go away to the point that we don't even know that it's there anymore, you're going to just prolong the illness and prolong the amount of time that your body has to fight and then eventually recover as well. Now, let's talk a little bit about pain, because that is one thing that we see a lot in our office. Folks will come to us for neck pain, low back pain, just pain. And I like to use the acronym of reframing pain as saying your body telling you to pay attention inside now. That pain is a response to a joint not moving properly or potential injury or damage that your body is trying to protect you from. So when we reframe pain as a communication and a signal rather than an issue that we need to tend to or try to fix, we can see that your body is responding rather than failing you. So now that let's go a little bit deeper. How does our body know what to do? This is really where the brain to body connection comes in. This is where the responsiveness, the intelligence, like all of that is really outlined nicely here. Your nervous system is the master control. Every single organ, every tissue, every cell in your body is controlled by your nervous system. And that control and that communication is guided from your brain through your spinal cord and then out through all of those intelligent, awesome nerves that we have. So if there's interference with that communication, your body doesn't have the same responsiveness, even if it tries to. And this can be where we start to see pain pops up, where we see digestive issues pop up, menstrual changes, sleep changes. All of those different things are signals that there's an interruption in that brain to body communication. And I like to think of this as a dimmer switch on a light. So if we have 100%, like that light is turned all the way up, it's really easy to see what's happening in the room. So it's really easy to respond. This is the same thing as having 100% brain to body communication and connection. Now, if we dim that light down to 50%, it's not as easy to see what's happening in the room. So it's not as easy to respond to different things too. That's the same thing that your body is experiencing if it doesn't have 100% communication. If we're living at 50% or 75%, you don't have that same responsiveness, which is one big way that we start to see signals pop up. Now, a huge way that our brain and our body communicate and receive information from each other is movement. So I really want to reframe this one. Movement is information. Movement is not just a muscle creating an action. It is a neurological connection. And when joints aren't moving well, your brain doesn't get it gets poor quality information. So I like to say, if your spine doesn't move, your brain doesn't groove. So when I am looking at a new practice member and they come into the office and I am assessing their spine, I am looking at how those joints of the spine are moving, because I know, big word coming in here, that the proprioceptive input from your spine to your brain controls a lot of the signals that your body is going to end up sending. So our brain and our body, or let's look just at the brain. So we have different checks and balances within the brain between your cortex and then between your cerebellum. So two big parts of this brain that we have up here that control and talk to each other. They are communicating about movement that should be happening in the body versus what is actually happening in the body. So when I'm assessing a patient, let's say that they're C5, a bone that's in your neck. If that isn't moving properly, now you have a disconnect between what should be happening and what is actually happening. And when that happens, there's three main ways that your body is going to respond when there's a disconnect or there's poor information. Number one is posture. So you're going to start to see that we're going to flex, which means like your head moves forward and down, your shoulders round in. We see a lot of this rounded and flexed posture when your body is trying to protect an area. Because if things aren't moving properly, that means that your body doesn't fully know what's happening, right? Proprioceptive input is your body's way of understanding where we are in time and space and how things are moving and grooving. So posture is a big change that I see first. Now, if we aren't getting poor, or if we are getting poor information because those spinal segments are not moving appropriately, another thing that we'll see is inflammation. So we'll see it at the level of the joint. So like that C5 I was talking about, you'll see that there will be pain here because that joint is going to be inflamed. Now, another thing that we can see is if that has chronically been there and it's been there for a long time, I'll start to see that that inflammation moves outward and it creates more of a systemic inflammation. So that's another way that I see our body responds to poor information. And then the third is we see more stress hormones, more cortisol that gets released because we have this, our body's intelligent, right? So if we are in more of this flexed posture, we're going to see more stress hormones that are released, right? We talk about, I don't know if when we go back to elementary school, we talked about power posing and really opening up our body, because as we open things up, we're going to release more oxytocin, which is going to create more of a state of balance and more of that confident posture. When we are in more rounded, that is going to, like I said, this stress hormone talk, honestly, it could be a whole conversation that we have in the future. It could be a whole talk, but what I don't want to get too far into the woods, I want to focus on the three main ways your body responds to poor information is posture, inflammation, and then stress hormones. Now, this is where chiropractic comes in. So chiropractic is so much more than just the pops and the cracks. We are restoring proper movement, which restores proper communication. When what should be happening with movement is what is happening with movement, your body says, we are all good, we are safe, we are ready, let's take on whatever we need to take on. That's why with regular chiropractic care, people not only have better movement, but they feel clearer, they sleep better, they breathe easier, and ultimately they are healing faster because adjustments are restoring proper spinal motion, which is restoring that brain to body communication. And when you have better communication, your body functions better, your body heals better, and you have better adaptation to the stressors of life. So when we have that brain to body connection and communication that just flows freely, your body moves out of this survival mode and into a thrive mode. So now the real question is, what would life look like if your body was fully connected every single day? If what should be happening and what is happening are continuously balancing each other out? Because like I said, health is not a destination, it's a relationship. Health isn't about fighting illness or fighting pain. True health is restoring connection so that your brain and body can do what they were designed to do. And truthfully, chiropractic is one of the most powerful ways that we can strengthen that relationship with your body, with your mind, and overall with your health potential. So today we have looked at health a little bit differently, right? We've looked at it outside of just how things are feeling, but how things are functioning. How are we sleeping? How are we moving? What are the signals that our body is sending to us? Because health isn't something that we're chasing with things from the outside and putting them in. It's that relationship that calls us to pay more attention to what our body is saying so that we can nurture it from the inside out. And we don't only want to work on our health when something breaks down or when we get a signal. We want to get to a place where our body is not sending us signals because things have been interrupted for a while. Health is something that's already inside of us. It's intelligent, it's intentional, it's responsive, and it's always trying to move us toward healing. And when our body is connected, when your body is connected, you don't just feel better, you function better, you live better. And that's really what chiropractic is all about. It's not just about pain relief, but it's about connection, adaptability, and honoring this innate intelligence within us that knows what to do. So whether this has been your first time hearing this or whether you've been on this healing journey for years, I really invite you to lean in and listen to those signals that your body is sending and understand that it's a response and it's a communication and not something that you should just take a pill or try and fix and get rid of. I invite us to get checked, get connected, and really start experiencing health the way that it was designed to be. Health is a birthright. It's something that every body deserves and is capable of. We just have to nurture that relationship from within us. So if you've stuck around this long, I want to say thank you for listening to this full talk and coming along this series with me of looking at health differently and viewing things from a different lens too. Now, if you have made it this long, I do want to let you know that we do have a new patient special for you specifically. It's $100 off your new patient appointment. It's my gift of health to you. So give us a call, look us up on Instagram. We're Impact Chiropractic Loveland, and we truly are passionate about taking care of the individual, the whole family, newborns, older individuals, kiddos, athletes. We take care of everybody, and we want to take care of everybody too, so that you can experience what true health actually looks like. So thank you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And as always, get checked and get connected.